Okay, this is the Woodbridge Board of Finance special meeting. It's our monthly meeting because we rescheduled the established date. It becomes a special meeting. So Wednesday, July 22nd, 2015. And of course, this is the first meeting of the new fiscal year and with the new elected officials and appointed officials and boards and commissions. So congratulations to all who have been elected or appointed, especially Ellen. And we have our new member here tonight, Paul Kyriakos. That's how you pronounce it, right?
Yeah, Kyriakos.
Okay. I've met with Paul, and I think he's going to be a fine addition, and I think he's going to enjoy the board. So, welcome aboard.
Thank you very much.
And congratulations also to Sandy and David for accepting reappointment. We have the
Thank you.
Pleased to serve again.
bulk of our board back, and it's a great board, as we always say. So. And we don't have to say yes tonight, by the way, when we vote. We can just,
No?
no, we can just
You
vote.
sure?
I don't care if we want to make that. We can make that a permanent. I'll tell you when I say we can
Okay.
vote. Okay. Any public comments? Item 1. I don't see any. So with that, election of chairman and vice chairman. Usually we put this off till September because we never seem to have a full board. But as much as we do, we're going to we'll do it tonight. Are there any nominations for chairman?
I'll nominate Matthew.
I'll second it.
Okay, any other nominations? Okay, can I have a motion to close nominations?
So moved.
Second?
Second?
Okay. Okay, all those in favor of Matthew Gigliotti? Thank you.
Yes.
Yes.
Yes. I will do it. I'll explain that to you later. For now, just say yes. Okay, are there any nominations for vice chairman?
I nominate Sandy Stein.
Okay,
Second.
second. Are there any further nominations? Okay, motion to close nominations.
So moved.
Second, I'll second that. All those in favor of Sandra Stein? Aye?
Yes.
Very good, thank you, yes.
Can I just say for the record, in case anyone's watching, I am a non-voting member of this board, otherwise I would vote the same way,
Okay.
yes. So congratulations.
Okay, Ellen, Ellen has a meeting, a Board of Selectmen meeting at 6, so we're going to let her go with her first Selectmen's report. So, Ellen?
Thank you very much. So it's a little bit long because this meeting was delayed, so I have a few more things to talk about. Some of them seemed quite a while ago, but I thought it would be good to just update you on what I've been doing. June was graduation month, clearly, here in Woodbridge, the education town. I was at the daycare graduation, Beecher Road School graduation, the 8th grade promotion, as they call it, and the Amity High School graduation. And at all of them, the children, the parents, the grandparents, friends, everybody was just beaming. And I think it was the same amount of pride from preschool through high school. Everybody was happy. It was great. At Amity High School, there's a community action club, and they had participated in something called Optimum Community, where high school groups around the state try to raise money for different charities. And our school had raised the most, and they were presented with an additional $5,000 check to be donated to the THP Purple Project, which is an anti-substance abuse initiative of the Heron Project. And the kids organized everything, they did the fundraising, and it was terrific. It was a very nice event. I attended the Massaro board meeting, and dinner on the farm is Sunday, September 6th. I wholeheartedly recommend it if you haven't been there. It's a wonderful event. And also at that meeting, I had missed an earlier meeting, and since I'm ex officio, asked someone from town to go because, to keep the avenue of communication open. The Massaro board preferred that when I can't go, I not send a substitute, so I agreed to that, explaining that I thought it was in the best interest of the town and the farm, but they thought ex officio should be the same as other board members who, for example, one said, well, if I can't come, I don't send my husband. Well, of course, that's a little bit different from ex officio, but it was fine. So that was resolved. On economic development, Betsy Yagla and I met with representatives of the New Haven Chamber of Commerce. And I think it was a very productive meeting. They want to strengthen ties with us and see ways that we can work together on developing our business community. We also visited two businesses. One is David Lesser, an antiquarian bookseller here in town. He does most of his business by mail order. But still, it was very interesting to see. I had learned about his business because he advertises on the paper placemats at Woodbridge Gathering. So you never know how you're going to bring new people in. It was very interesting. And we also visited a new business, a new hair salon. The name escapes me right now. But they're over in Selden Plaza and very happy with their move from New Haven. I just want to see. Oh, Hair's to You. That was the name of it. That was very nice. We have something called the Woodbridge Traffic Committee, which is sort of a not formal ad hoc group of residents who look at traffic issues. Particularly, they've been focused on Landon Street, and they there is some question about whether they really are more formal and subject to FOI, but they've been pretty informal, and there's been good progress there on looking into speed humps and ways to calm the traffic on Landon Street, which can get pretty fast. And they've been to the Traffic Commission, didn't get too far in the past, but Deputy Chief Ray Stewart was there with some very good ideas for them. So that was very promising. If you haven't been there, the concert series, we've had 3 of the concerts already. I don't know where they get these bands, but each one is great. Tony, you should at least come to rate them. They were excellent. And the first and third concerts were great weather, despite ominous weather reports. The second one, it did rain and they were inside, but even at that one, there were about 150 people. Last night, there were about 400, and it was great. People just loved the concerts. I should mention we are looking into doing movies in the summer, outdoor movies. Probably that won't get organized till next year, but people are interested, and I think it would be great for the town. As most of you know, July 1st was the swearing-in ceremony and reception. It was a very well-attended ceremony, and I again want to add my congratulations to all the appointed officials. Now everybody's sworn in and ready to go, so that's been great. Since July 1st, I stopped at the Children's Library. They have something called the Reading Together program, where they pair young kids, kindergarten maybe through 1st or 2nd grade, with high school students, and they read together, and they love it. The older kids love it, and the young children like that. This morning was the South Central Connecticut Regional Council of Governments monthly meeting. And it was a very interesting presentation by the Department of Transportation. They've got big plans for the next 30 years. But happily, our tunnel and Exit 59 were on their shorter-term plan. I specifically asked about it, so I was very glad to hear that. And also, I don't know if all of you had heard, there has to be some significant repair work to the tunnel. And they had been talking about blasting a 3rd tunnel in order to do the work, which sounds pretty extreme, but what they reported today was that apparently is not the plan. They found a way to do it without doing that. And
That's good.
it's very good. It's very good. I can't imagine what that would have entailed. Also, a really great event was the ribbon cutting at the JCC for their solar project. If you haven't seen it, I really encourage you to go by. They have done solar over just about all of the parking area. And I think they're going to be generating almost all of the power they need from this solar project. There were people there from the state, from the Green Bank, and Commissioner Klee was there. It's a really a model project, much larger than any other they've done so far. And 2 things about it. One is it was enabled by our CPACE program that we adopted. It's a state program, but we specifically adopted it so that businesses, nonprofits, and multifamily homes can do clean energy improvements with very creative financing from the state. So the JCC has done it, and I encourage all businesses in town, or if you own a multifamily dwelling, to look into the CPACE program, because it's terrific, and the JCC is very pleased. And that's it. Thank you, Matt.
Great, thank you.
Thank you. So I have a few minutes. I can stay for a bit longer.
Tony, status of the 15 budget.
So the June 15, working on the year end for 2015. in our surplus for the year, which is about cover our contribution from our fund balance. So, this is a typical process that we go through where we're more conservative earlier in the year on some of my estimates. For example, we had some back tax collections come in, so it'll be a surplus of about $35,000 there, which we were hoping would come in, but it had come in, towards the middle end of June. So that was helpful. The FEMA grant of $38,000 is a new item. We have some shortfall in our department charges, about $62,000, mainly from conveyance taxes and town clerk fees. Those are the two that have the most of the shortfall. We have a shortfall in interest income of about $25,000, and finally, our other financing sources, which is police private duty revenue, has done well this year, about $80,000 in surplus there. On the expenditure side, the Board of Selectmen is a surplus of about $25,000, largely due to legal fees, which did well this year. Police should have a surplus of $60,000 to $63,000 in wages primarily, which will cover their shortfall in overtime, and also we have a surplus on top of that, largely due to vacant positions and or some workers' comp cases. Waste management, recycling and tip fees and bulky waste disposal is a surplus of about $45,000. Recreation, there's a surplus of about $18,000, largely due to vacant staffing positions. As it's a seasonal operation, sometimes it's hard to predict what their staffing needs will be 18 months into the future. Library, $43,000 surplus, mainly due to the vacant director's position. Employee benefits, surplus about $20,000 to $25,000, largely due to the surpluses in retiree health care and police retirement. There's some changes there in coverage that allowed for surplus. Finally, the Board of Education is still reporting a surplus of $50,000.
So, for the benefit of the residents who are going to watch this, it might pay to just explain how fund balance is actually budgeted, and then how is it actually balanced?
Okay, so I would be happy to.
Okay.
In the budget, as part of the annual process, the town budgets, in this case, $400,000 as a contribution from fund balance. So what that means is the budget is anticipating, at least in the budget, a $400,000 contribution from fund balance. But often not what happens is we tend to budget conservatively here in Woodbridge, whether it's with staffing and with revenues in particular.
Mm-hmm.
So more often than not, unless there's actually a really specific reason, we generally cover that $400,000
Right.
with surpluses in our conservative budgeting.
Right.
And it's actually a very common practice in a lot of towns. And when we were talking, when we had our Moody's presentation, he actually said, it seems like you found your equilibrium with that $400,000.
Mm-hmm.
And I said, yeah, that seems, because it's been the same for
Right.
how many years we've been doing it? Forever, right?
Right.
So in order to control your fund balance, if you want it higher, you would lower that amount, or if you want it lower, you'd increase that amount. So it's sort of like a measure or a tool to control your fund balance.
And Tony, also just to be clear about that, if we continued our conservative budgeting and we did not use the fund balance in that way, we would raise taxes.
That's correct.
In order to
That's
have a
correct.
balanced budget.
Right.
And we wouldn't get the benefit of our conservative budgeting.
That's right. That's right.
And considering we have a $45 million budget, let's just round it off.
Right.
$400,000 is nothing. I don't know, I can't even, it's not, it's less than 1%.
1%.
Is
It's
it 1%?
1%. It's a
Yeah,
little
so,
less than
yeah,
1%.
to
Right.
come within $408,000 of a $45 million budget is nothing really. So I think what Sandy's getting at is there was a lot of talk about we start every year in a $400,000 hole, which is just not the case.
It's not true.
At the town meeting, or at the budget hearing / town meeting, we asked for the authority to use $400,000 of fund balance if we need it, because if we didn't do that, then we'd have to go to a special town meeting to get approval for that. But in all the years I've been here, I think I can remember one year when we used it, and that was when we bought open space.
That's correct.
Yeah.
We use it when we bought open, actually,
Two
two times. Once when we bought open space, once when the market took a dip,
Right.
and we lost a lot of interest income. And once when we lost money on the country club.
Right.
There were specific reasons that were too large to overcome our conservative budgeting. As you're aware, next year, we'll have a savings in debt service because we had a refunding that was available,
Correct.
but that was after the budget process, so there's,
Right.
right away, you'll have some.
And hopefully we won't have a winter like last year.
So,
Again, I mean, understand that with all the, with what we spent this winter, it was a horrendous winter.
Mhm.
We were able to cover all that and still have a $408,000 surplus.
That's correct.
But these are things you just don't know. I mean,
Thank you very much.
Okay.
okay. Any questions on that? How about the audit, Tony?
The auditors are here this week doing field review. They've been here since Monday.
Okay.
Field review is when they test our transactions, basically from purchase order request, in case of payables, purchase order request through a GL and bank statement. So it's like sort of like a full test of the entire transaction. They do a sample, a statistical sample of that. Payroll, it starts from the wherever the authority was to authorize the payroll. Usually it's the selectmen who authorize the increase, or if it's a new person, it would be a usually it's the board of selectmen where you get that from. And then it goes through, or a union contract if it's a union position. And then it goes through, again, through the bank statement. So it's just a test, and they do that this week. They'll test taxes to make sure that tax collections are done properly. Grants, they're testing grants to make sure we've spent grant money on what we're supposed to spend grant money on. This is sort of the type of things that they'll do this week. Those are some of the major items.
I should mention, I ran into a young woman in the kitchen today. I said, "Are you one of the auditors?" She said, "Well, I'm actually an intern." So I said, "Well, this must be a great place to intern." She said, "Yes, they told me this is a great town. It's so well run. It's terrific."
That's great.
It goes downhill from here. That's something, I used to do them.
West Haven's next.
Oh. Okay, thank you, Tony. And
Okay.
for your information, we have the Woodbridge Board of Education report, and as Tony reported, they're anticipating a $50,000 surplus. Maybe you have some way to talk about on that. Funding requests.
Can I ask Tony a question?
Yeah, sure.
At the Board of Selectmen meeting I was at, there were several public comments regarding the underground storage tank
Okay.
situation, or where we are. Do we have like an engineer or consultant that oversees the UST program, or maybe any other environmental issues?
We do. As a matter of fact, we have a contract with a LEP is the acronym, Licensed Environmental Professional, which is licensed by the state and acts as the state's overseer of environmental issues. We've used him in the past, and he's on with us on this project. So far, the town, just some background on that, the town, with town employees, we moved the tank, and when we removed the tank, there was some oil, a smell of petroleum at the bottom of the well of the tank. So first thing we did was call Joe, to start LEP. He came onto the site, he observed the condition, and we called the DEP to file the incident. It was that same day, I think. And so then we just followed the procedure that's outlined in the regulation. And so right now we're putting an RFQ together to get some pricing for removal of the soil. So once we do that, we'll have pricing, we'll have a budget, we'll get the funds transferred, and there's about 5 or 6 state bidders that we're going to get priced. The RFQ will the state is contracted with, or has a state bid for. I think there's 5 firms that have a state contract for this type of work, removal of soil.
I think you heard at that meeting that the gentleman who was questioning it talked about a no-bid contracts and
Right.
dealing with criminals and
That firm's not one of the
on and
bidders,
on
that's
and
all.
on. So
Yeah.
basically, and this is part of the problem. If people would just call Tony before making a public comment, they can get their questions answered, not have to grandstand. But once the tank is out of the ground, someone has to come in and cut a hole in it literally, I think they climb into the tank.
That's correct.
They have to clean the inside of the tank.
That's correct.
Cut it and remove it to a disposal site that
Correct.
accepts it.
Right.
I think you said that cost about $2,000.
Yeah, about that.
So there's no bids for $2,000.
And then,
5,000, I believe, is where we start bidding. So.
but anyone we would do business with, I would think it's safe to assume
They're licensed.
that we have licenses, that state
Yeah.
licenses and
the
certificates of
important thing is the
insurance.
Insurance, right. Correct.
So there,
Yeah, we'll
generally,
check. It's
would
an
it be
instinct like
procedure to
this.
do background checks if this is a licensed vendor with the state of Connecticut
No,
that's
the-
properly insured?
They do that.
The state would do
Yeah,
that, not
that's-
us.
Right. If they're licensed and on a state bid list, I mean, we can't vet every single place we do business with. There could be criminals working in just about any biz. There are some in particular we know about. So, I mean, we do business with state-approved vendors. And in this case, whoever it was, Alpine that removed the tank.
Yeah.
He was talking about this Alpine. It was $2,000. So, I mean, I don't think Tony's going to risk his career and not put a bid out. Would you, Tony? You wouldn't do that, would you?
No.
There was another confusion at the meeting. Someone suggested, actually pretty strongly, that there was an oil leak and therefore we removed the tank.
No.
That's not the case. We have a program for removing all the tanks. This is
Right.
part of our plan.
This is
And in removing the tank as part of the plan, we
Right.
discovered there had been
This is the
something.
third tank of 4 tanks that we're removing.
Having sat through that meeting, I think one of the problems is in our meeting, Tony comes on first. Okay? All those things that were brought up, by the time Tony got to talk, everybody had left.
Yeah.
So therefore, maybe you could change his position where he comes on after public comments. So some of these things, get addressed while everybody's there. And then maybe you get right on it and get it out of the way.
Right, that's a good point.
Now, the good news with whatever leakage there is over there, I learned this living through the gasoline leak in the back, which was millions. I think the word is oil doesn't migrate. Is that right, Joe?
Not like gas does.
Right, gasoline migrates much further and quicker. Heating oil tends to stay there. So I'm sure we're going to have cleanup expense. Hopefully it's not too bad.
I'm hopeful it's
But
not.
we'll find out.
Right.
Okay, that's good.
Excuse me,
Go
I'll
ahead.
run to the next meeting.
Okay.
Okay.
We'll see you at 6:30.
All right. So for funding requests, we have several. The first is an actual funding request from our contingency fund. It's for $11,000 from the Fire Commission, and it's for an increase from the Regional Water Authority for hydrant repairs, for water and for hydrant repairs, and I guess there's a memo from Chief Rowland. So I'll move acceptance of request for funding 1415-27 in the amount of $11,000.
Second.
Now, Tony, I'm sure you view the backup material
Of course,
and that,
absolutely.
in fact, they did
Yeah.
bill us
They did.
more than we budgeted.
They did,
So,
yes.
So there's really no choice on this.
And they can't find any money in their budget to cover this.
They've covered a few of other expenditures, but this particular one, there's not much left.
Okay.
And as a matter of fact, I think it was mentioned at their budget hearing, at their budget presentation, that there could possibly be an increase in,
Yeah,
Yeah.
yeah, they did. You're right. I remember that.
yeah.
Okay, anything else? All those in favor signify by saying yes.
Yes.
Aye.
All right, next.
Renegade.
We had talked about funding. Now, again, these are funding requests from last year.
Right.
Okay, just so you know that. We had talked about taking out of the police budget radio replacements and paying out of this year's contingency because we had money left. So that's what this
That's
is.
correct, that's what this is, right? It's in 2
It's
pieces.
32,305, and it's for radio replacements in the police department. I'll move acceptance of request for funding 1415-28 in the amount of 32,305.
Just to be clear, this comes from last year's contingency fund, right?
That's correct.
When you see
Yeah.
1415, that means the 1415
yeah.
year.
So just so I can clarify, there are, it's in 2 pieces.
Yeah,
This is
right.
the contingency part.
Right.
Right, okay.
Second.
Okay, anything else? All those in favor signify by saying yes.
Yes.
Okay. This is the second part?
Yes.
All right, this comes,
This is the
Old
second
habits die
part
hard.
of the radio replacement project, and it's for $15,065. This is the line item transfer,
Right.
1415-29, and I will move acceptance of line item transfer 1415-29 in the amount of $15,695.
Second?
Anything you want to say on this, Tony? This is just
No.
the other piece.
Yeah.
Okay. And this is coming from building, this is coming from...
It's from a
Building
project we
maintenance.
have for the replacement of the flooring at the child center.
Okay.
With some funds remaining.
Okay. Anything else? All those in favor? Yes?
Yes?
Yes.
Next is, again, a line item transfer. This is, I guess, the police department sold a vehicle, and this is to give them money from the sale of a police interceptor vehicle.
Right. Let's use that money to,
Right.
right.
So I'll move acceptance of line item transfer 1415-30 in the amount of $2,056.25.
Second?
Any discussion on this? All those in favor? Yes.
Yes.
And finally, I guess Karen handed out a little memorandum on this. This is
This is a relatively recent one, which I
yeah.
apologize.
Why don't you go over it quickly, Tony,
Okay.
before we even vote on it?
So the selectmen actually are going to review this at their next meeting. So I wonder if your motion could be pending approval subject to the approval by the selectmen.
Okay.
The Woodbridge Aquatic Club has volunteered to donate funds for the installation and maintenance of an ultraviolet system for the pool, which is a special lamp designed to clean the water as it goes through the system and through the device, and eliminates a good portion of the bacteria and algae and yeast and mold in the water. And in order to significantly improve the quality of the water, they are donating the $31,925 required to install this. Additionally, they have set aside to donate or to provide $1,500 per year for the first 5 years for maintenance, which between their maintenance funds and the fact that when you use this device, you use less chlorine. And apparently there's one in the Yale pool, and there's one in Cheshire's got one in their pool. So there's a few of them around. They use less chlorine. So that's the motion in front of you, is to take the funds that are donated and use it for that purpose. It's similar to other donated items where we keep track of the revenue, the funds coming in, and the expenditure going out. So you can track.
No, but this money's already been donated, and it's in an account somewhere?
Not yet.
No.
The selectmen have to approve it at their meeting.
So what are we voting on here?
We're going to vote subject to approval by the Board of Selectmen.
Because the pool is closed, and the best time to do this is now while the construction project is going on. So if we wait till your next meeting, we might lose our window. That's the
Right.
only reason.
So has Adam reviewed and agreed?
Brad.
I'm sorry.
Yes.
Okay, I'm joining the Mac Club.
Maybe because you and I are a team.
Okay, so Brad has agreed that this
Yes.
would be a good
He
addition
has.
to the
He's
pool.
been very involved, and
Sorry,
the only reason why I
Brad.
brought it up tonight is because there's not the
Yeah,
meeting.
it's just a
calendar.
formality, obviously. It's not costing the town anything.
No, it won't cost the town anything.
All right, so then, keep in mind, this vote is for this line item transfer, subject to Board of Selectmen approval.
Right.
Okay? So we don't have that, we have. I'm gonna move acceptance of line item transfer, now this is next year, 1516-01, in the amount of $31,925.
Second. All right.
No, go ahead.
Any further comments?
Go
Go ahead, Sandy.
No, go.
I see there's an estimate in here for $29,000. Does that have to go out to bid, or does this company get the work?
Well, because it's it's not using town funds, they, being the Woodbridge Aquatic Club, would prefer us not to do that because they want it installed sooner rather than later, and because it's their funds, they would prefer just to get a quote on it and move forward. As opposed to, I could go out to bid, it just add another 2 months to the process, a month to the process.
I
So
think
then
David's
we'll miss
asking
the
a good
construction window as well, right?
Right,
Put it in.
correct. We missed the pool construction window. I can
But
certainly-
it is a town-owned facility.
That's true.
Okay, so I think that's actually a good question, David, in terms of, I'm not looking to delay this.
Yeah.
Mhm.
But is there some due diligence that we do that this is actually a reasonable contractor to actually install this? I mean, just to get a reference from another.
We use the contractor for other things.
This same contractor?
Yes. This is routinely done work on our pool. Whether or not we actually have to go out to bid
Okay.
is a good question, which I'd have to,
I'm
run
not
by
actually
town
suggesting going out to bid. I'm
We
just saying
have
this
used
is.
this Connecticut
Yes.
custom quads in the past,
frequently.
Okay.
frequently,
Yeah, for pool work.
for pool work.
Okay.
Yeah.
So if
Okay.
we've used
So
them, then
he's
that's
an
fine.
approved vendor,
Yes,
Okay,
and we have a history with him.
we do.
that's fine.
I think that's very important based on what Sandy's saying, because we just don't need any more
Yeah.
I
Right.
completely understand.
surprises.
I completely
We
understand.
have to avoid those.
So then the two warnings at the bottom of this bill, owner is responsible for draining and filling pool,
Right?
owner is responsible for providing all electrical wiring and connections required.
That's why the quote is, to $2,000.
Okay, do you think that's gonna cover that?
Yes.
How do we fill the pool? Because,
Well, we have to fill the pool
Well,
anyway.
yeah. Well,
That-
we'll
that's
have
our
to.
responsibility.
oh, okay, it's empty anyway.
It's
Well, no,
empty now.
it's not completely empty,
Empty,
but
but-
that's our
yeah.
responsibility to maintain it.
Okay, okay,
And it costs a little in chlorine
I got you.
to balance it.
Yep, okay.
Okay. And then in what form do they provide the maintenance fees to us? Is that something we need to approve every year to accept?
Yeah,
Okay,
yes, you would.
okay.
Okay, anything else? Okay, again, subject to the Board of Selectmen approval, all those in favor? Yes?
Yes.
Okay.
That's quite a contribution. I have.
It is.
That is phenomenal.
I installed this system into my heating system,
Wow.
and 'cause they make them for hot water and for hotter systems.
Huh.
It's absolutely unbelievable what it does to the quality of air in your home.
Really?
Wow.
They really work.
Okay.
Stuff they make them for. So this will have quite an effect on the pool. That's quite a
It was
donation.
a very generous donation.
Generous donation.
Yep.
And I'll tell you, the townspeople will be the beneficiaries of it. It
So
will improve the quality of the water.
can we also request that there be some form of a thank you, official thank
Certainly,
you?
I would think that.
Absolutely,
That's a great idea.
To the aquatic club
Absolutely.
for doing this?
yes,
Because it benefits the whole town. It's
Right.
not just their group that uses the
that's
pool.
right, that's right.
Okay, next we have approval of minutes. This is the regular monthly meeting of June 18th, 2015. Go ahead, go ahead. Anything else we need you for? No.
Have fun, Tony.
We'll see you soon, we'll see you soon.
Yep.
Are they gonna have a quorum over there? Okay, minutes of the June 18th.
We'll make the quorum, right?
I have a big mouth.
We're all here, so.
Means we can get down to the bottom of the hill, have a drink, and later.
I'm gonna move acceptance of the minutes of the June 18th, 2015 meeting as presented.
Second.
Any discussion, corrections, adjustments?
Nice job, Karen.
All those in favor? Aye.
Yes.
Opposed? Paul will abstain. For the last time. Designate Board of Finance representative of the Investment Committee. I've been doing this right along. Unless somebody is dying to attend another meeting, I'll be happy to continue, if that's okay.
We'd be pleased to have you continue.
Okay, I don't know whether we have to vote on that. To be
We should,
formal, why
we
don't you-
should vote on
Yeah,
it.
yeah.
Yep.
Why don't you make a motion? Sue?
Okay, I would like to nominate Matt to be the Board of Finance representative to the Investment Committee for the town.
Second.
Anybody second?
Any discussion? All those in favor? Aye.
Yes.
Yes.
Jeez, yes. Liaison reports. Okay, I'll just mention this to Paul while he's here. When you start liaisoning, I believe you're going to do the fire commission. Basically, we're looking for a report on the financial impact of what they're doing over there, which pretty much everything they do is financially, has a financial, if they're buying new uniforms or whatever, so we try and keep it strictly financial stuff, so. Amity has not met, they don't meet in the month of July, so I have no report. Karen, do you have anything?
No, no one met either.
Okay, Andrew?
Meeting was canceled.
Okay, David? No? Sandy?
Of course.
Sandy's
Oh,
meetings are never canceled.
The Library Commission did meet on Monday, July 13th, and Eric is doing a terrific job. I really think he's kind of captured the spirit of the town and of his staff. With regard to kind of budget issues, there are quite a number of museum passes that are available to town residents at the library. They're actually going to be adding a Longworth Theater pass, which they will believe will be in very high demand. But they're very pleased to do that. They did report about being about 10% under budget, which Tony actually mentioned due to the director position being vacant and having lower electrical bills than what they had originally in their budget. They are going to be going through a comprehensive policy review. They do have a policy committee, and they're going to go through like 5 policies at a time. They do this on a periodic basis. And it's also good because Eric will be able to kind of weigh in terms of his experience at other libraries. The elevator, I guess, is back working, and they're trying to work with Tony because the town wants to break the contract with the current group that they are using. They are really underperformers and really not servicing the library or the town very well at all. So Tony is assisting with arranging for different contract arrangements for that.
This is for elevator maintenance and repair?
Yeah.
And do we know who they're using?
Conan?
Kone.
Sorry. And that's the group that they want to get out of the contract with. Eric also reported that the Read Together program is actually going very well. And I mean, the kids really like it, the older kids too. They just love reading to the preschoolers, which is great. And they are going to hire a new head of circulation. I believe it's Barbara is retiring. And so there's a new job description for that. I asked them to review it with Tony because it probably needs to have some weightlifting requirements in it from a legal perspective. And that was it. I should say one more thing. They had about 300 people plus who attended that first farmers market. So that has really been very successful for the town, kind of adding that as a community activity. So I encourage you all to go. It's farm produce, but also other items, at the library on Wednesdays. So the Woodbridge Board of Education Finance Committee did not meet, but we have their report. And if you look at their report, it shows that actually their total surplus is about $93,000. $50,000 of that will come back to the town, and the remainder will go to fund the summer enrichment program. As you know, that has to be held over at the high school, and there are increased costs for doing that. They know what those are now since they had to cover them last year, and so they will use those funds to help support that.
Okay,
That's it.
thank you. Okay, Board of Finance liaison appointments or designations. I guess everybody is pretty much satisfied. The only addition we have is Michael Ewing was doing fire, so I've asked Paul and he's agreed to do the fire commission. They're looking forward to.
I met with them on Monday.
Okay, good. Yeah, because I guess Mike was busy and wasn't able to attend many of their meetings, so they wanted somebody to attend. So if I could just review, I will do the Amity Board of Education and the Finance Committee, as well as you just heard the Investment Committee. Sandy will do the Woodbridge Board of Ed / Finance Committee. Andy will do the Police Commission. Who does EMS? Karen. Paul will do the Fire Commission. Karen will do Human Services. Sandy does Library, and David does Recreation. Okay. And with that, I'll move adjournment.
Second.
So I have a question.
Yeah.
Paul, did you go to the?
I did, yeah.
You did? Oh, so you should make a report.
Well, okay.
Oh, okay. I wasn't aware.
Okay, my notes are a little spotty, but we talked in the Fire Commission about new insurance, health workers' comp insurance through AFLAC, and we talked also about equipment replacement, the ladder truck, tanker trucks, and so on, that are showing some age and would need some replacement at some point. I think the ladder truck has been under discussion. Has it?
Years.
Okay. Okay.
years.
Isn't that what the special meeting is, Cal?
Yes.
Yeah, they're gonna make a president. I guess in a few years, I don't know if they mentioned, they're gonna have to replace all the air packs.
Yes.
Yeah.
I think
Good.
that's next year, actually.
Yeah.
The air packs, as you mentioned, so they have a number of equipment-related expenses coming up. I think will be detailed in our special meeting. Okay.
So you have a lot to pay attention to.
I do. I wish I'd taken better notes.
That's okay.
Oh, Sandy
Don't-
puts everybody to shame, so don't worry. She's a
Don't hit us again. Sure.
Well, I mean, everybody has a large, I take a look at the last 5 or 6 years, what we've spent, committed to. 7 million, 7 million, 11 million, just keeps on adding up. Tony gives a report that we're up to our limit, we're very close to our borrowing limit. Okay? And it's very important that before putting on any more debt, that we really have to look to retiring debt. I mean, for a town of less than 10,000 people and 3,500 homes and $42 million in tax revenue, I mean, we spend a lot of money. But we have a first-class town. But on the other hand, there are times when we have to temper our desire to spend money. Okay? So
maybe
we just
look at
can't
the-
do it all. We can't do it all at one time. And I find the needs are just, I think that, the police department have needs. They've been talking about 911, talking about that call center, how many years? Replacing the electronics there, it's $1 million. And moving it. And they keep on getting passed over. So what I'm saying is, I think we're hitting the wall, and I think we have to be aware of that.
I think we've made it
Very good
abundantly
point.
clear that with the addition of the Beecher project, and of course, we just put the Public Works project on, we are at the,
So we're gonna have 14, 11, but I just think about, I got up to about $34 million and I stopped when I'm saying, and that
Yeah.
doesn't include what we do annually over that last 5 or 6 years. So
Right.
I'm saying, hey, you know what?
Right.
We're only taking in $42 million a year. I mean,
I think one important point for us to understand is how often are the pieces of equipment that they want to replace used? And that we know there's a lot of regular equipment that we're required to actually fund, but I don't know how many times per year the ladder truck is really used.
the other issue with the ladder truck is, it's wonderful to have a ladder truck, but it's the first piece of mutual aid equipment that probably is called for from neighboring towns. I know Seymour has one, Bethany has one, but it's not as big as they want.
New Haven has one.
Orange has one, right?
Orange has one.
Right. It would be wonderful to have it, but, I met with them already and explained to them, until we resolve the country club,
It's not just the fire
there's gonna be a
department.
whole lot of stuff that's gonna have to be put on
The
that.
Public Works Department needs trucks.
Yeah, right.
They're 150,000 each now by the time you get them all. And how many trucks
Yeah.
in that fleet are now getting, so this is, the Parks Department needs a new mower,
Yeah.
big expensive mower. And he has a lot of grass to cut because we have a lot of parks to cut. So it's just that everybody has all these needs, okay? And it's our ability to address them. But really, the biggest problem we're facing in this town right now is the devaluation of our real estate,
Correct.
okay? And that's mainly because our taxes are very, very high, okay? So there's a price to be paid for this quality of life we're living here. But when you become number 7 in the state, the fact that we have education, 2 great schools. We have a grammar school we spend $12 million a year on. We have one grammar school we're spending $12 million on. It's, one grammar school, 700 kids, is $12 million. It's more than that. It's 13 million, whatever it is. That's without debt service. So
You're right, without debt
again,
service.
I think that we're hitting that limit now. So we got to pay some of this stuff
Well,
off.
I think we've made it abundantly clear, and that's why within this year, I hope there's some decisions made on this country club, because as long as we've got this country club out
Correct.
there,
I would
And
agree.
forgetting the debt that we took on, it's the potential liability over there.
Oh,
Right.
I mean, the sprinkler system over there is a disaster waiting to happen. The clubhouse, which some speakers advocate, we need to put a coat of paint on it, and I mean, that's absolutely, I mean,
Replaced the
Andy-
roof for $600,000.
right, Andy, what was the number years ago that they estimated for that
And,
clubhouse?
when this thing all came about, I mean, which is, again, it's like, they could have bought it for $3 million, we ended up paying $7 million, so. But
The
when
estimate
we
to
had the
upgrade that
engineering study
clubhouse was
done,
what?
the engineering study just to replace the roof then that was leaking was $600,000. I mean, and it's a 40,000 square foot plus building. What do we need? What are we gonna do with it?
In total disrepair.
Total district.
oh, it's.
The HVA systems are all shot, the heating systems are shot, the carpeting needs to be replaced,
It
the
needs to be
ceilings are.
addressed. We have to address
If I
it.
remember, it was 4 to 5 million. They were, Silver Petroselli did a study.
$5.5 million.
Yeah, and the sprinkler system, we were told before we bought the club, was poorly designed by the original country club and could go at any time, and that's a $2 million tab.
Well, it's not only a sprinkler system, it was the retaining walls on the course, it
Right.
was the fact that the course was designed for 13,000 plays a year, and and over the last 5 years, we've done 22 to 30,000 plays on that course. So what you're doing is you're really having a big impact on the infrastructure of the course. That was designed as a public course, not a private course, not a public course, so, and we just can't kick the can down the road on it anymore, we have
And I
to
don't
make some
think-
decisions.
And I don't think we will.
So could I ask for some clarification of your statement, Andy, about
Which statement?
the statement about the value of our homes are going down because our taxes are going up?
Now, I think that if you talk to Cooper, talk to any of the agents in town, that our town has not recovered, okay, real estate property wise.
No, I totally agree with you, but I'm not convinced that it's because of our tax rate.
Well, what is it?
But
Very
that
expensive
works
to
in
live
any town, Sandy. I mean, you take a buyer who has X amount of dollars to spend. That's gonna go to amortize the mortgage and to pay the taxes. So the higher the tax component is,
The less
the
they
less the
pay
person's gonna
for
pay for the
that.
house.
Okay, all right.
And what has helped, why we have seen the increase in the student enrollment at Beecher, is because if you take a look at a lot of the homes that are being bought by young families coming into town, some of these homes are being sold anywhere from $225,000 to $300,000 range. And most of them are homes, a lot of these homes are built in the 50s, 60s, and 70s. And these young couples are coming in with 2 children, 3 children. They're fixing these houses up, moving in and putting, because they want to put their children in our school system. Okay? And a lot of those houses are being sold. Now you take some of the larger homes, are the homes that the values are really, are the ones that have, I had Judy Cooper come in and appraise my house, based on what it was appraised 5 years ago, it's a huge difference.
Yeah.
And that's, so this is what we're dealing with. And at some point in time, we just have to just hold it for a while. We just can't do everything all at one time.
I just think property taxes are relative to what you have. I mean, I grew up in Hamden, and if I took my house, first of all, there aren't very many houses in Hamden that have an 1 3/4 lot with a 4,000 square foot house on it, right? So I pay 12, I believe, something like that. If you moved my house to Hamden, with that size lot, I'd be paying 21,000 in Hamden. You come here, you come to Woodbridge, and first of all, we have great service, we have great schools, whatever. We have large parcels of land, we have big houses. If you look at the list Andy referred to, or 7 or 9 or whatever, it's all New Canaan, Darien. It's all towns like ours that are. It's a wealthy town, and unfortunately, with an affluent community, you move into if you move to West Haven and you buy a ranch, you're going to pay $7,000. I'd rather pay $12 and live where I live. And that goes for just about any town. I think if you compare us to Orange, though, for example, I mean, we're very relative to Orange and maybe Bethany. It's just that I think Woodbridge has the biggest houses. So, it's a choice you make. You want to live in Woodbridge. It's an expensive town to live in. It's affluent. I think we have.
And it's
the
well
most-
maintained.
My dear friend Ed Shee used to always talk about Woodbridge having the most, I believe, the highest percentage of advanced degree people in the state of Connecticut live in Woodbridge. It's that. I mean, if you want to live here, it's going to cost you a few extra bucks, and You know, I know people out there want to scream and don't raise taxes and don't spend any money, but I've never heard anybody say cut services in this town, so. I hear you, Andy, I hear you, but,
Again, my taxes have increased like everybody else's over the last 10 years.
yeah.
They've just about doubled.
Yeah.
I mean, so, and all I'm saying is, every once in a while, we have to say, no, you can't continue to say yes all the time.
Well, and I think thinking about this over the next 5-year period and what can we do and not do would be very beneficial for us to go through an exercise like that. If we could do it for a 10-year period,
Well,
that would
Tony
be
gave
incredible.
Tony gave a very good presentation of our
Yeah.
debt service and how it's flowing,
Right.
and how much debt we could put on.
I think that's what he's gonna do tonight again.
Right.
I don't, no, that's not gonna happen here
No.
tonight.
No.
It's been canceled.
But that's what I'm saying, Andy,
Be
is that
canceled?
let's take that information that we have
we're
with
not
Tony's
meeting after.
guidance.
Oh, yes, sure, you're meeting.
The fire commission, we're not having a meeting after that with the board of selectmen?
I don't believe so.
Oh, okay.
Oh, that's.
I got an agenda.
Yeah.
Well, yes, that's the joint meeting.
Oh, just for the fire department? Oh, I
Yeah,
didn't
that's
realize,
the
so
only
Tony's
thing.
not making a presentation?
Right.
Okay.
That's not on the agenda.
Okay.
So, I mean, he has worked very hard to get that message out. That, look, this is the way it is, and we're bumping up here. Hey, let's get some of this debt to come off here before we put more debt on here. And then we really have to make a decision on what we're gonna do with the country club, because
I'm very hopeful. I was gonna say at the beginning of the meeting, I think we've got a good budget going. I shouldn't say this, but there don't appear to be too many problems coming up. Construction-wise, everything is done. They're gonna wrap up Beecher Road School by the end of the year.
Yep.
It's the country club. The country club,
Right.
the country club. We have got to resolve this, be it. I've said, I don't know that the town has in their hearts to develop over there. I really don't. I don't know if we could ever, with what happened the first time with a very minimal development, there's no way 177 units are gonna fly in this town. No way.
No, I don't think it supports that.
But it still doesn't change the fact that I'm not so much concerned, the payment of the note, of the bond, that's in our budget, $350,000 plus reduced interest every year. We've got that built in, so we got that. I'm concerned about the potential liability over
Right.
there. If things start failing and
Right.
if the golf course, Andy was a golfer like I was. If the greens go, that's $1 million project to redo greens.
again, in my position.
It's a liability waiting to happen.
We don't belong in the country club
No,
business.
and I
They're
said that.
closing country clubs at a rate of one a day all over the country, and what makes us think we should be in that business?
Before we bought it, I sat here and discussed with Janet
Barely.
Barillari. We were going back and forth with Janet. The town cannot be and will not be in the country club business. And I don't think we ever intended to be when we bought it, but things developed. The minute we tried to do something, it didn't work out. So we are in the country club business, and we need to get out of it as soon as we can. So if that means putting it for sale, although I've heard from reliable sources that people out there in the business wouldn't give us $1 for it unless they could develop the property.
Right.
They're not going to buy that place for millions of dollars and just be able to run a golf course. And if the golf course doesn't work, they can't develop
There's no return on investment today.
So nobody's
They're
going to buy it
closing them
from
down all
us.
over the country. It's not
So
ROI.
there's always the option of shutting it down and just
Right.
turning it into open space.
But I think that it has to be part of a balanced approach.
Yeah, right.
We don't have any over 55 housing in Woodbridge.
Right.
There are no options for people who want to sell their homes and they don't need the size of their home
Sandy.
anymore, but want to stay in the town.
Yeah.
I know, but what I'm saying is that you can't just take each independent decision. You have to look at the whole town,
Yeah.
what is
What
really
needs.
needed, and put together a plan that actually makes some sense. And that is a huge gap
Yeah.
that we have. And I'm not saying the country club property is the only option, but we need to look at that to preserve the community that we have. And not kind of shift the demographics in a way that really doesn't benefit the town.
During the election, when they were referring to it as open space, open space, open space, and we got a letter from one of the Republican leaders, we never sell open space. That's not open space. Open space is the Wallace property up over by Elderly. It's 200 acres that we paid $4.4 million for.
Of wooded land.
It's pristine, but we bought it. We're going to pay it off in 2 or 3 years, and it's over, it's land. The Woodbridge Country Club is not open space, and anybody who thinks it is
Right.
has got to check the definition. It's a country club with a tennis courts that are aging, a swimming pool. We all know how expensive swimming pools can get, we just saw that. We have an aging swimming pool over there. We could keep it going, but it's an old swimming pool, and eventually we're going to have problems. We have a clubhouse that probably anybody with any knowledge of construction, we should level it. You know, there's no way you're ever going to rebuild that thing unless you're going to pour money in. And we have a sprite.
The biggest scariest.
Paul was
thing-
on the country club
Yeah, I was
commission.
on the biggest scariest thing. What kept me up at night was that clubhouse.
Right.
Yeah.
This,
Yeah, it's
the
a
leaks,
mess.
the lead,
It's a
the
mess.
asbestos.
Yeah.
It's a
Well, when we got
disaster
the
waiting to
bids,
happen.
when nobody
We-
wanted to touch it,
right.
Billy Casper,
All right.
Kemper,
No.
their bid was on the condition that they don't go near that.
Or they level it. Or they level it.
Yeah.
I mean, the thought of painting it and
On the other
sprucing
hand,
it up is
Matthew,
ridiculous.
we can't plant corn there.
Well, you know, again, I
We
mean,
need to go.
yeah, we do. But, okay.
You have
So
to
did
vote
we,
on your
did
motion.
we adjourn the, did
Yeah,
we
we
adjourn
did.
the meeting?
We have a vote? All
We had
those
a
in
vote
favor?
and a second.
Aye.
Are we-
Yeah.
Yes.
Are we off the record, or we were?
No,